Before going further, I think it's very important to understand a question. Talking about or dreaming, why is it important to dream? And when I look back on life, जब मैं अपनी जिंदगी की मोड़ देता हूँ, एक लड़के के डिस्ट्रिक्ट, then he initially finally college, finally lands up here in the Indian Administrative Service. And if there is one thing, that connects my whole story, it has been that while I was there in my school, while I was there in my village, I always wanted to be able to move out of this, be able to make something bigger than the people around me were doing. So it is that story of dreaming which is a lot in my life. So when we talk about dreaming, understand why is it important. Just before this speech, before this lecture, I was sitting down and trying to note down points. What happens when we dream? What happens when we don't dream? And they say that Walt Disney used to say that if you do it, अगर आप सपना देख सकते हैं तो आप उस सपने को साकार कर सकते हैं. वो जिमिनी क्रिकेट का भी एक बहुत अच्छा कोट है. I have put it here that if you don't have a dream, how can you have a dream come true? जब आपका सपना ही नहीं होगा तो आप एक सपने को साकार कैसे कर सकते हैं? तो जिंदगी में अगर हमें कोई भी सपना साकार करना है तो उसके लिए ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम सबसे पहले वो सपना देखना सीखें. So जब हम जो भी कुछ करते हैं, this dream it becomes the starting point. ये जो भी हम आगे करना चाहते हैं, it becomes the starting point. It's the starting point where what we visualize, that what we want to do, what kind of life we want to have, what kind of contribution we want to have in society. That's from where our story begins, our journey begins. So dreaming is about the journey. मेरे ख्याल से अगर IAS में ज्वाइन करना है, UPSC एग्जाम लिखना है किसी को या किसी और फील्ड में, it's not confined to one particular field. It's for any field. चाहे हम जर्नलिज्म में बहुत अच्छा करना चाहता है, चाहे कोई एक बहुत अच्छा राइटर बनना चाहता है, चाहे कोई एक बड़ा सोशल एक्टिविस्ट बनना चाहता है, चाहे कोई एक बड़ा पॉलिटिशियन, बहुत अच्छा पॉलिटिशियन बनना चाहता है. बनने की प्रक्रिया में सबसे पहली चीज, the first thing in that whole process is to dream about it. And this dreaming, it opens up our potential, it opens up our mind that this is possible. हमारे यहाँ, in my place, in the place where I live, we did not have any civil servants or any IAS officers to look up to. Very few were there from my state. So joining IAS in the first place was about dreaming about it and do it. So when we dream about it, it helps us open our limits. It helps us move up the boundaries that we have put in on ourselves. We get a sense of direction, we get a sense of purpose, that this is what I want to do, this is what I visualize after 5 years, after 10 years, this is my dream. This is the kind of life I want to build for myself, for people around me. That this thing gives direction to us, and we start working for that dream. I see a lot of people, some think that there's a bit of voice lag. I'm really sorry because I'm right now in a place where internet well. I have my mobile phone as a source of internet. So please bear with me if there's a bit of voice lag or if some video or slides are not clear. But I'll still try to repeat things and make it slightly useful. At the same time, when coming back to the whole idea of dreams, whole idea of having dreams, I was reading it somewhere. There was this person. Her name is Mel Robbins. And I was watching her TED that the odds of a person, of man, at a moment of time when he was born, he or she was born, to the parents whom he or she was born, with the set of genes or the set of DNA that he or she is born, is 1 is to 100 trillion. So our birth itself is such a least probable event. So the probability, the odds with which, with the circumstances, or with the parents, with the time, and with the kind of DNA that we have born, is around 1 is to 400 trillion. And that makes all of us special, that makes all of us unique in its own way. So if we are so special, then I think all of us deserve to dream. All of us deserve to, fantasize the kind of world, fantasize the kind of life that we want to be in. So my first point, the first thing that I wanted to make here was that it's very important to dream, because number one, these dreams give a direction to us. They open our horizon, they open our mental space, they open us up. They open us up to the possibilities. We realize that nothing is impossible. अगर कश्मीर के एक अनंतनाग डिस्ट्रिक्ट के गांव से एक लड़का कर सकता है, he can become an IAS, anybody else can become as well. But for that, we need to have that fire in us is ignited. So then the next part of this whole conversation comes that all of us want to dream. All of us have this thing in mind that, we want to dream, we want to do something, we want to imagine ourselves doing something good, something bigger, something better. But what stops us? What stops us from doing this? What stops us from dreaming big? And I think as far as I have seen in interactions with people, with interactions with my friends or relatives, or those with whom we come in touch with every day, the biggest roadblock, the biggest thing that prevents us from dreaming or dreaming big is fear of failure. We are often scared that, okay, if I say that my dream is to become a say millionaire, or my dream is to build a Fortune 500 company, whether I'll be able to do it. What if I fail? What if I'm not able to do this? Same goes with a lot of us who have been preparing for civil services, for the UPSC civil service examination. We also wonder, what if I'm not able to clear? What if I fail in preliminary examination? What if through the main examination? What if I'm rejected in the interview? What will happen? What will happen? So that fear of failure is one big hurdle that does not let us dream. That makes us, that forces us to settle down with smaller dreams. And I think this is the first thing that we all need to work upon. That we need to get rid of this fear of failure. When I was in the school, I heard this line, this stanza, एक उर्दू का शेर है, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. It says, गिरते हैं शहसवार मैदान कारज़ार में, वो तिफ्ल क्या गिरे जो घुटनों के बल चले. I'll translate it. It means that it's the warriors who are fighting in the battlefield. It's they who fall. A person who is sitting in the comfort of his house, he cannot fall. So failure, only those people who dare to do something, only they will face failure. Somebody who does not dare to dream, who does not dare to do anything, he'll never face failure in life because he's not subjected to it. This is not a possibility for him. But when you dream, when we imagine that us doing so many great things, so many wonderful things, we know that failure is a part of it. हम लोग फेल होंगे, बार होंगे, कई बार होंगे. ये उस जर्नी का पार्ट है. It's a part of that journey. And it's in fact these small or even big failures that make our dreams worth living for. And if there's a dream for which we don't face a failure, we don't face a challenge, I don't think that dream would be a dream big enough. So it's very important that we overcome this fear of failure. I remember, I just want to relate it to my own life story as well. When we were in class 11th and 12th, at that time in my place in Kashmir, IIT was not that popular thing. Very few people would write examination. And I had 3-4 friends and classmates with me. So we all decided that we'll write the exam. So we all filled the form, filled the application form. And when the day of the examination came, I think none of them turned up at the examination center. I went, and they said, in any case, we won't be qualifying it. We won't be able to go through. So why to write the examination in the first place? But I thought, it doesn't matter if we go through it, if we don't go through it. Let's try. Let's try. And it's that fire to try that helps us achieve those big things. And I was very fortunate enough that I could go through that examination. I could qualify that examination. Similarly, right now I am in Rajasthan, and I think every now and then, a lot of students, they come to my office, or they come to meet. Some of them are aspirants, and they would say, we are preparing for Rajasthan Administrative Service Examination, RPSC exam, the state service exam. The first question I would always ask them is, why are you not writing the UPSC civil service exam? And then there would be a moment of silence, and they would say, "Sir, pata nahi, there's too much of competition. We don't know whether we'll be able to make both, through it or not. We'll be able to clear it or not." And the first thing I try to do is I tell them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you clear it or not. First of all, you have to try. You have to try. So before settling down for anything like a state service examination or other exam, which I'm not saying are bad enough, they're equally important, very important. Why not to try for the UPSC civil service examination? First of all, try for that as well. Work hard for that. And if we are not able to make through it, that's fine. Then let's look at other options. So let's not let our fear of failure. Failures are real. They happen, and they're a part of life. They're a part of journey. One should be positive. One should be open to them. One should be open to those failures, and should not let our failures make us settle down for those dreams. Settle down for smaller dreams. And then there's another part of this whole story is the social conditioning. I think many of you will be able to relate to it. Social conditioning, we mean what people say. We grow up, say there would be a relative, he'll say, no, this is too difficult exam, this is too difficult. It's not easy to build a company, it's not easy to secure funding for your startup. What are you doing? Go and settle for some stable job. So this kind of social conditioning, sometimes it's the pressure of the parents who also would want, no, this is, आपने एक attempt दिया है, 2 attempt दिया है, अब नहीं देना है, अब कोई job कर ले. So a lot of these things, this social conditioning also adds up to this thing that prevents us from dreaming big. And I think then there is the most important of them all, which I have put here as limits we think there are. I'll just highlight it. These are the limits which we have put on our own minds. जैसे एक घोड़ा चलता है, टांगे का घोड़ा होता है, जो उसके दोनों साइड से एक there are 2 pieces of some cloth or some leather on the 2 sides of his eyes, and he stays just on the road. He's not able to look left or right. So the same kind of limits are which we often try to impose our own selves. पता नहीं होगा, मेरे से नहीं हो पाएगा, जिनका होता है they are from some other world or whatever. So one has to work on these limits also. One has to have built that self-belief that if somebody else can do it, I can also do it. Maybe it will take me more effort. It will take I'll have to work more hard. I'll have to put in more of effort. I'll do that. but let me not confine myself. Let me not limit myself. Let me not limit the possibilities of my life. Let me go ahead. And there is this Malcolm Forbes. Malcolm Forbes is the person. He's also the producer of the Forbes magazine. His father was the one who had found the magazine. It's a Forbes we all know about. So he says this, that when you cease to dream, you cease to live. So in a way, dreaming is something that makes us alive, that makes us lively, and it's also something that differentiates us from probably other species. Somebody wrote about this book. I just happened to look at it uh, in the comment section about Malcolm Gladwell's book. There is this book by Malcolm Gladwell called David and Goliath. I just saw the name somewhere. I have read this book, and it's a really very interesting example of how underdogs, how those people who are often seen as the ones who can never survive, ones who can accomplish anything, they turn out to be victorious in situations. It's about David and Goliath. It's a story of David and Goliath. So Goliath was a huge, giant-looking warrior. This David was a small Israeli. He was a small boy. He was a shepherd boy. And then in that one-to-one kind of combat that happened, David thrashes Goliath down. Now, the story of how it happened, that is explained in the book, that when those things which we consider as disadvantages, they're often not disadvantages, they're often advantages. So one needs to look at things from that perspective as well. Now, let's go to the third side of this presentation. So we have been talking about dreams. We have been talking about things that prevent us from dreaming in general. Now, can we relate it a little bit with UPSC? I'm sure there would be other speakers from different fields, and they would also equally passionately talk when it comes to their own fields of interest, when it comes to their own professions. Now, when we talk about UPSC, the first question itself is, does aspiring for UPSC mean dreaming big? Is it a dream big enough? The answer, I think, is for some it is, for some it may not be. For me personally, it was a big dream. As I told you, I remember the days when I would come back from my school. My school was initially about 1.5 kilometers away from my village. So when I would come back from my village, from my school in the evening after the school, while walking along the road, I'll start kicking the pebbles with my foot. If there's anything lying on the road, I'll start kicking it and moving ahead. But while I was walking back to my house every day, I remember it so vividly. I'd keep on imagining, what am I going to do now? Where will I be after my class 11th? What's going to happen? And this thing would really me. The kind of possibilities I had. I've seen a doctor, so I wanted to become a doctor. Somebody told me somebody was an engineer. Then I thought that maybe I can become an engineer. Then the same story goes. I went to college. I was in IIT Mandi. Some of my dreams to join an IIT. So after 11th and 12th, so I was fortunate enough to join. And I was there. I again started.